What happens when a couple of friends deep dive into silly Star Wars thoughts and questions you never knew you needed answered?
Do you think that Shmi and Qui-Gon did the Funky Town dance?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah. 100% that was her being like, come on, let's go to bed, you know?
She was coming to invite us.
Yeah.
Join us for some casual conversation on the Cantina Chat podcast featuring Jordan and Sean.
All right, thanks for joining in. Welcome to another episode here, the Cantina Chat podcast. Today, of course, we got The Last Jedi on the docket, and then later we'll be doing a little game to close out the show like we always do, but being pretty upfront this entire time we've been doing this and knowing this was coming up, you and I, we're both pretty clear that 8 and 9 are our least favorite in the whole series.
Yeah.
And we've both spent a long time in between the last time we watched this one and now. What are your, initial... Do you still think this one is, on the bottom tier now that we finally watched it?
Yeah. I hate to be that way because, there's a lot of things that, whether it's Star Wars or not, the first time you watch it through, you're like, oh, that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And so you're like, all right, I'll give it a second chance. Sometimes it works, the whole thing, Book of Boba Fett.
True, okay.
That was, still low. I love the idea and everything like that, so that was always great.
Right.
But, the show, to me, when I first watched it, I was like, oh, yeah, this is definitely on the bottom of the poll. I rewatched it, and I was like, okay, never mind. Yeah, no, it's pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
And so...
I still haven't rewatched that one yet. So
it's good. Yeah. It's not as bad as I remember it being, but this one is still just as bad as I remember it being.
I think there are moments that are a little bit more better than I remember.
Right.
But overall, I'm still ranking this one probably second lowest.
I mean, honestly, the best part out of the whole movie, and usually this is how it goes, is the fight scene in Snoke's throne room.
Yeah, that's a great scene. That
is the best scene of the whole movie,
I think,
in my opinion. I do like Luke. I like how Luke used the Force projection and was able, to show how strong he was to be able to project himself through the Force.
Yeah.
Planets away. You know what I mean? That's cool, too.
That is very neat. I liked a lot of how they did that scene. We were talking about when we watched it, the little clues that were in there, that some of which you might have picked up on in the right away in the beginning, some of which you wouldn't. But if you didn't know as a viewer when you're watching that for the first time, it kind of seemed like Luke might physically be there, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But there was supposed to be the clue when he gives the dice to Leia. She could have felt in her hands that they weren't real, and that was supposed to be a clue to her, and that's why they faded away at the end of the movie when Kylo went and picked them up, and that's why she left him there. And then also the footprints in the salt during the middle of the battle with him and Kylo.
Yeah.
They were very specific about showing Kylo when his feet would move, it would brush away that salt.
Yeah,
and expose the red. Luke didn't do that,
right.
So it's supposed to be little clues. I think that's kind of cool, but
the lightsaber too.
The
lightsaber,
big
they
one.
Literally just broke.
He's staring at the same saber that broke.
Yeah, and it's okay. You and Ray just cracked that thing in half. And then too, the robes, the haircut, and the beard and everything like that was the same style that he had when he had left Ben.
True.
You know what I mean? So it's okay, he might have cut his hair before he fought this because he's not a hermit. He is now a Jedi.
That's maybe more of a clue to us than to Kylo, though. Kylo probably doesn't know what he looks like. But yeah.
But, there's just all these little things. But, I don't know. I mean, it's, like I said, there's some stuff that I'm like, all right, yeah, no, it's all right. But
right.
The vast majority of this movie, I'm still definitely where I was when I first watched it.
There are some positives that redeem it. I think that,
Canto Bite scene.
The visuals, for starters, I think
but
it's really good.
Yeah.
It's a new modern movie, I know, that they threw a lot of money at.
Right.
But still, it looks
visually,
very
all this new
good.
Star Wars stuff looks great. So
yeah, for the most part. I think it's just really hard to get around some of the weird, writing pieces that we talked about that they really bother me. The kid, the hacker guy that helped Finn and, Rose get to the ship and then betrays them later. It was really weird to me that, this whole time, Holdo's got this plan that she refuses to tell Poe, which was already a little odd to me. She wanted to keep it secret from everybody, including Poe, that they were going to go down to the planet in a sneaky way, and the cruiser's going to keep going, and she's certain that they wouldn't track the ships that are little leaving the carrier. And I'm like, all right. A leap in judgment there, but whatever.
Well, she did say, or whenever the First Order hadn't found, we ran a cloaking scan,
Yeah, the First Order guy said that they decloaked. They ran a decloaking scan.
Right. So the small shuttles were cloaked.
Right.
So that makes sense as to why they wouldn't just pick them up on a regular scan. So it's like, all right.
So I'm like, all right, whatever. But the fact she doesn't even tell this to Poe, that's their plan, it seems weird. I mean, obviously he shouldn't just rebel against his people either in the army, but also,
well, at the same time,
he would have been on board with that
he has no
plan.
idea what's going on.
Right.
And in his mind, and the way that it looked like she was going to just
be a coward and send everyone to their deaths. So he took drastic action, and you can't necessarily blame him. But it's like all of that is because to service the story that I feel like Rian Johnson wanted to tell here. So I was like, I don't know, I didn't really like any of that. But then we've got this guy who's been in jail in Canto Bight. He volunteers to help Finn and Rose. They get on board. They go to disable the tracking thing, and oh, what a surprise! He betrays everybody. He wants money and his own ship.
Right.
They go to send him away, and they realize that they bartered with him telling the First Order to run a decloaking scan because they're sending little tiny ships to the surface there. So that guy who was in jail in Canto Bight knew something that Finn didn't know, Rose didn't know, Poe didn't know.
Nobody knew.
Nobody but Holdo and Leia, probably unconscious Leia, knew what their plan was, but he knew that and told the First Order what to do. That one throws me for a loop, dude. I just can't get over that one.
It's just bad writing.
It's a little weird, man. All those strange little coincidences that you're like, I don't know.
I mean, that's going to happen.
I know.
You're going to have bad writing and things that don't tie into each other because they think it sounds good. And when you first watch it, you don't pay attention to it. You know what I mean? And so I guess that was like my thing. But now it's like me and you had both kind of been, like, you looked at me and like, how does he know? And I'm like, bad writing. Like, you know, like that's just how
that's
it goes.
That's the only answer you can give.
But it sucks because it's like that's literally the reason.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but it pulls you so far out of, like, as a fan, it pulls you so far out of trying to be immersed in this universe, trying to be bought into what they're telling you. And they tell you something that's so, like, weirdly outlandish. And it's so dumb because, like, you can sit there, you can look at space magic, you can look at all these weird flying things that don't exist in real life, but I can be completely bought into that because in its universe, these are the rules they've set that told me it's true.
Right.
But then you have this completely contradicting information over here. I can't do it. I can't get bought in. And it does the opposite. It pulls me out and makes me less interested in that thing. So it's a little tough, but I don't know. That kind of stuff is always like, oh my God.
Yeah, it makes it hard sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a bunch of weird things. They've got like gravity in the bombers when they were shooting. They were in space, and they
even the fact that like the Rose's sister.
Yeah, I think her name is Paige.
Paige. So like everybody in the bomber had oxygen masks, stuff like that in the cockpit, whatever. Makes sense because the bottom of the bomber opens and then it's just completely open to space. You know what I mean? Space is right there at the bottom. There's no little force field. There's nothing like that. No gray shields.
Yep.
Nothing like that. And then even her, when she was in her gunner pod, which I kind of like the bombers because of the gunner pods.
I think they're cool. Yeah. They're like reminiscent of like real life
the old B bombers. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's cool. It's like, all right. So she had her mask on.
Yeah.
And then she takes her mask off and she decides to go up to the thing, whatever, because the pod, the doors isn't open.
Right.
Takes her mask off, she hits the button and the bottom opens up. She didn't die.
She didn't get sucked into space. She didn't die.
Suck her into space. There was
no oxygen in there.
Right. Well,
she
she
still has gravity and oxygen for some reason.
Right.
She's hitting the button for the transmitter to fall down. Then when they do hit the buttons, like, I guess maybe they had some kind of launching mechanism, but it didn't appear that way. They appeared to just be lined up. She hits the release thing, and they all fall straight down. I'm like, I don't know, if you were close enough to the atmosphere of that planet to say that was why it was gravity and that they had oxygen there, but, like, the planet was barely visible in the background.
I mean,
like,
unless they had some sort of thing, which would make sense if they had, like, a hydraulic pusher or something like that, where it just, like, forcefully pushes the bombs out. The bombs have enough momentum to fly.
Those ones are... That's fishy, but it's borderline. Like, I could get... If that was the only one.
Right.
But then you've got, like you said, her taking the mask off. Like, she had it on for a reason.
Yeah.
She, you know, and then you're like...
I mean, at least it's like with the Y-Wings and stuff, you know, those were the bombers for the rebellion.
Right.
At least they had proton torpedo bombs, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff where it's projectile being launched, you know what I mean? Whereas these are just balls that are dropping from the ship.
Right. There was some stuff like that was just... I mean, we haven't even... I guess this is just going to turn into our. But Leia getting blasted out into space, right?
I never liked that.
I know I hated everything about it.
I'm glad that she didn't die there because I mean Carrie Fisher ended up passing sooner or later, like in real life.
I thought that at the time it would have been sort of a nice way to let her go.
That's what I had thought.
And then I was like, oh man, Carrie's gone. That's awful. And then in this movie, Leia's dying. That's also awful. But we could feel the weight of Leia dying because we in real life we're feeling the weight of Carrie dying.
Right. And
it was like, man, that it gave you somewhere to direct it. But then she uses a new move called the Force grappling hook to bring herself...
Pull herself back to the ship. I don't like that. Though, I mean, you go into space, one, you're dead.
Your blood vessels are completely freezing over.
Well, your body's freezing over. And hers didn't. She was still able to... Like, you could see, like, the crystallization over her skin. And it was like, okay, so that's realistic. But then it turns into her being able to take her hand and moving it. And for one, she's in space, she should be dead. But the fact that she was able to move and do all this stuff, blah, 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 I was like, come on. Like, I'm glad she didn't die because it's Leia.
I know. I think, for me, one of the craziest parts of it, too, was, like, she does all that. She opens her eyes in space, and, like, her eyes don't explode or burst out of her face, or at least
now we've talked about this before. It's Star Wars, everything's different, things don't make sense. But that right there is like the main thing for me, that it's like that's not
nothing in Star Wars happens correctly. I mean, Poe is literally drifting an airplane in space just prior to this, whatever. The thing is, it's
cool,
when it's inconsistent in its own thing is what drives me nuts. And like you had her. The TIE fighters, they blasted a hole in the window there, and her and all the leadership crew get sucked out into space, right? Because that's what would happen if you've got a pressurized area where you guys are okay, and then there's a big hole, you're all going to get sucked out there. All right.
I mean,
they've just taught us that, right?
You know what I mean? So.
But then she uses the Force, she pulls herself in, goes back through the same hole, and then there's a door there where Poe and Finn and Rose see what's happening. They go running over to her and just open the door. Now, granted, the scene changes right after that, but they just open the door to grab Leia.
There was no...
It would have sucked all of them right out when that door opened, too. And I'm like, what are we doing right now? It's a lot of strangeness going on.
This is the movie where it really nothing makes sense.
It just, I agree. It's
bad. It's all right.
From the moment that the movie starts and Luke is portrayed in a way that we've just never seen, and it's so hard to get behind the idea that he would see his own, and he just throws away his saber in the first 2 seconds of the movie. You're like, it's not the movie I expected.
Right.
So you're already going to have to like get over that.
Right.
But then even if you can, try to come up with a reason why the character Luke has gone through these things. He's way different of a person. Mm-hmm. Even if you can try to somehow relate to all of those things and it makes sense, there's so many other of these little story
for
beats.
Me, it's like when I first watched it and he threw the lightsaber away, and then he was like, no, the Jedi are dead. They deserve, they don't need to be around anymore. I'm going to teach you, like, I'll teach you, but I'm going to teach you the reason why Jedi shouldn't exist. And it's like, that's not Luke Skywalker.
I know.
That's none of the Jedi.
I know.
Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. I understand that, like, his nephew was the reason and blah, blah, blah. And then his nephew destroyed his entire temple, everything he worked for, killed his Padawans, took a handful of them with him, he says, all this stuff. And it's like, okay, I understand. But it's like, at the same time, the books, the prior movies with Luke, that's not who Luke was.
I know.
He's not the one to just give up. If you look at it, like, an episode, in the originals, he had no training, but he wanted to go save his friends, fight Vader, and then save Vader.
Right.
With I say with no training. He saved Vader in 6 when he was
a little more.
He was much more advanced. But it's all. But the factor is that he had only been training for a few years.
Yeah.
And said, you know what? I'm going to go get everything I have to bring this Lost Jedi home.
Yeah.
As well as destroy the entire Empire.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
That's
Luke Skywalker.
That was his personality. Yeah. and it's what made him relatable to us. So now we're the same people who were relating to him back then, and now it's a different person on the screen there, and you're trying to figure out why and what happened. How could that possibly be?
Yeah.
And that's tough, and it's like that's the reason why Mark Hamill, I think, had so much of a struggle with this during the time period.
He didn't like anything that how they wrote Luke. He said the same thing. Like in interviews, he said that is not Luke Skywalker.
I know.
The way that they portrayed him in this movie is not how Luke Skywalker would be.
And you could see
based off of everything that Luke Skywalker has done and who he is.
That would be really hard to grapple with. Where like this is the character you've been portraying for essentially your whole life.
Yeah.
But it's also not your character. Like you didn't invent it, you didn't write it, and somebody else has the ability and the rights and the permission to do all that stuff. They're letting you, quote unquote, use that character, be that character. Man, that's tough. That would be a tough pill to swallow if I was in his shoes.
That's every acting though. That's acting.
I know.
But it's the fact of that they literally just took Luke Skywalker, who has hundreds of different things showing who Luke Skywalker truly was, and basically just crumpled it up and threw it away and said, "No, he's going to be a little baby, and he doesn't want to. He doesn't believe in the Jedi Order." And
it's so tough because it's like
anymore.
We had such extremes, right? When 7 came out, there was a lot of controversy and a lot of fans that were. I know Star Wars fans are so prickly to begin with, but so many Star Wars fans were almost outraged, like the public amount of people coming out when Force Awakens came out, that it's just a carbon copy of Episode 4. Why are they doing this? Disney's completely ruining everything. If you're going to do it, do something new. Do something completely different. Don't do it the same garbage and recycle it. And then it seemed like they heard that advice, and they were like, fine, we'll hire Rian Johnson and we'll do something completely different. And everybody's like, wait, we changed our minds. Please don't ever do that again. Yeah. Bring J.J. Abrams back.
There's a difference between making something different, not doing a carbon... If it was a carbon copy, we would have been on a snow planet, and which technically we kind of were because
wait a minute.
You were on salt.
Wait a minute. Who got their arm chopped off in this movie?
The entire rebellion.
Oh, okay.
So, but you know what I mean? Like,
I know.
There's different ways to like mix it up. Like, don't make the Last Jedi Master be a little baby back. Let him like have him teach. I mean, he could be a little bit self-conscious, sure. I mean, that would happen. That's realistic.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you're nervous about doing this. Don't make him be like, well, I was the best, the best Jedi for a long time, the only Jedi who was able to do everything that I did,
right?
Plus create a new Jedi Order, or start the creation of a new Jedi Order,
right?
Start the training of younglings and start all this blah 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 blah. You can do that and have him be nervous, but don't make him throw the Force away. Because like you had Obi-Wan, understandable, cut himself back from the Force because he had a mission to keep Luke safe. He was watching over Luke. If he was connected to the Force, he would have been found. You know what I mean? It's just how that kind of stuff works. That's understandable doing that with Obi-Wan. But with Luke, he had no threat besides Kylo eventually.
He was hiding.
He ran away.
He was so ashamed, that this is his fault, what happened with Ben turning into Kylo, that it changed him as a person. It's just hard to believe that guy that we knew would turn into that guy. But, I think there are some other things, like, I don't know that it's worth dwelling forever on all the negative stuff, but I know, like, one of the things that's puzzled me the most, and I did think it the first couple times, because I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the third time I've watched it.
Are you talking about if he landed his X-Wing in there and swam up, or if he used the Force to drop it down, or if he crashed again?
Well, knowing his history,
I'm voting for the crash.
It makes sense that he crashed his X-Wing. It sure does. I hadn't considered that. I had always thought when I saw it that he just used the Force to like gently set it down under there. And I was thinking to myself that surely he's been on this island now for like, I don't know, 10 years or some long period of time. And he knows that those are electronics, right? Like you can't just, even if you gently put it in water, don't put your car in water. Don't submerge your airplane.
I mean, it was already submerged in Dagobah.
Right.
So it's fine.
But that was like a day, and
You always say a day.
It's like
get the day out of your head.
It was like a day.
Get the day out of your head.
No, what I was gonna say was in the flashback that gets told where we finally learn the real truth of what happened with Ben and Luke, where he's like, he senses the darkness in him. He uses the Force to see inside of him and sees into the future and is like, oh, he's going to be really bad. And he's like, I need to get rid of him. And then he And then he's like,
he hesitates.
I can't believe I just tried to kill someone, even if it was that was a bad idea. But then, even worse, he wakes up and sees you in that moment, thinking that thing, about to do that thing, and so then Kylo reacts, pretty negatively. But in him explaining that situation, he said to Rey that Ben had already been too far twisted by Snoke at that point. So at that point in the past, Snoke, this dark side user, and Ben have been interacting for we don't know how long, and Luke knew it and knew who Snoke was. What is going on? Why is he out training these Jedi and there's a new Dark Lord out there and what? It's just weird to me. I don't understand any of that.
But that happens. I mean, that makes more sense to me than a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Snoke can be manipulating Ben through the Force. That's it. He could be talking to him through the Force, whatever, putting visions into his head. That stuff will happen. That's how things happen. I mean, that's whatever. I mean, if Ben and Rey can see each other through the Force, Snoke is powerful. He's Palpatine's clone. Snoke is powerful. Of course, he can manipulate you without being there. It's all brain manipulation.
Sure, but for Luke to know that means Luke knows who Snoke is and what the situation is.
And he might have known that there was a Dark Lord, but Luke's not going to go out there and try to defeat this single. I mean, because you don't know.
And maybe
he might not.
There were there's books and stuff that aren't written yet, or shows or something where they literally fight each other. But we don't even know the stories to that yet.
I mean, I haven't read any books that are new
in that time period that are canon now.
Right. So there might be something out there that says that, but he could have known, and it could have the news could have came to him when he started training this new Jedi Order. As soon as he put everything together and took Padawans out there, but I don't know how long he was training these Padawans for.
Right.
He could have been training Ben since Ben was 3.
Yeah, we don't know.
You know what I mean? So it's okay, so that would make sense, because if you were a Jedi Master, had just started an academy, brought all these younglings to your academy to start training Padawans,
right?
You're the only Jedi there to be able to train. You're not just going to be like, all right, guys, sorry, I got to go, and never mind, we're not going to do this anymore. I'm going to go fight the Sith Lord.
Do we know how old Kylo is supposed to be when we first see him?
Are you talking about 7?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
I don't either. I would assume
22.
that they're in that same age as what Luke was when we first met Luke. Rey's probably supposed to be 19, so probably somewhere between 19 to 21 in this time period. I'm assuming probably the same for Ben, maybe a little bit older. He looks a touch older.
He looks a little bit older, yeah.
But probably not by much. But yeah, we don't know if Luke took the approach of using all these old Jedi teachings of they need to be babies, basically, for him to train them. So he might have been training, and in the flashback, Kylo, Ben looks basically as old as Kylo almost, so it could have only been a few years back.
It's kind of hard, though, to make.
I know.
Yeah.
To take another
Look
actor,
like a child.
Yeah.
Got it.
Usually if they cast a different actor, we don't know enough about him to have said, oh, that's the baby version of him. I don't know. Right. But it's tough because we don't know if he was training Kylo for only a few years, if he was training Ben, or if it was 14 years, 15 years. Right. We don't know.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. So that's why it's easier for me to cope with the fact that Luke knew Snoke had already manipulated him,
right,
and stuff like that. And so it's
couldn't do anything necessarily to stop it.
Right. I mean, that's why that's how I can be yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It doesn't a lot, but at the same time it does, because that theoretically would happen in a real and obviously in Star Wars, but in a real life Star Wars situation. Right. So it makes sense.
The only reason why I find it odd is because Snoke is the First Order.
Yeah.
And the whole point of them saying the First Order and blah 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 is it was a big surprise. Everybody denied the existence of the First Order, and wait a minute, no, there's no army out there, so the New Republic needs to get rid of demilitarize, and that's why the Resistance exists, because they didn't believe the First Order was a thing. But you're telling me that he's been manipulating Ben and Kylo, Ben who it becomes Kylo.
Ben and Kylo.
And Luke knows about him. Leia knows about. It's just weird to me that could have potentially been happening for years.
I mean, but the First Order could have been ruling for 15 years now.
Yeah. I mean,
their military's big enough they're spread across the galaxy.
Force Awakens, though. That's why they didn't have a military. The New Republic did not believe that the First Order was a threat, that there was nothing out there. And so they got rid of all of their army, and that's why Leia broke off.
I got one. Bad writing.
Could be that.
I don't know. No, I'm just
It's
kidding.
just weird.
I don't know. I mean, there's so much time. There's so much backstory. There's a lot of things that we don't know.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, like I said, this movie's obviously already out, so there's no going back. I mean,
it would be interesting to see them fill some of those gaps. Like, we are getting so much content in the new stuff that they make that fills the gaps of
between
Palpatine
certain eras,
being a clone and him, that whole project and everything they did to bring him back, because that was quite sloppy in the movie when they do this in Exegol. But they've now made it to where all of these things for years have been doing this. Like,
right after the fall.
It's starting to make a lot more sense to where it doesn't feel like such a hastily put together piece of garbage. So, it makes me wonder. Maybe they'll start to spread out some of this stuff too eventually to make it make more sense. But I don't know. How about Andy Serkis though as Snoke?
I like Andy Serkis.
He's got a great voice. Yeah. He's so good at all these like CG characters and stuff that he does.
He was Snoke. But now he was also in Andor.
Yeah, he's finally himself.
In Andor. Super cool. I love Andor too. I love him in Andor.
He's a great character.
Climb. Dude, that made me so sad when he was like, Andor or Cassian turns around and was like, come on. He's like, I can't swim. And he freed everybody, made everybody get the courage to do this. And then at the end was like, I did my stuff, but I'm not going in that water. Dude, that was crazy. But anyway.
I love that.
I do like Andy Serkis. He's really good.
For the record, I think Snoke. What's your general opinion on Snoke himself?
What do you mean?
As a villain, do you think he's cool? Do you think he's?
It's Palpatine's clone.
I mean, he doesn't even really know he's Palpatine. I feel like he's his own guy. He's ruling the First Order. I feel like he's so much worse than Palpatine, even though he's supposed to be. He's a failed clone of Palpatine.
What do you mean so much worse?
To me, I just think Palpatine's way cooler in every way possible. In terms of a villain.
Of course. I mean, Palpatine's Palpatine. I mean, he's the Palpatine. Sidious, of course, is cooler.
I do think he does some interesting things that are really cool. Like when in this movie, he's yanking and toying with Rey. He's just pulling her all around.
When she pulled the lightsaber and he made it go completely around and smack her in the back of the head.
What?
I thought that was the funniest thing ever.
He's just like, you're not.
He's having a good time. Yeah, he's playing.
When she's flying all around, he just uses one finger just to send her flying across the room.
Well, even the whole levitating her as he's
trying
using
to interrogate
the Force to
or
get
whatever,
into the information out of her head.
Oh.
That's so cool.
I don't
mind him. I think he's
he was all right. I think
he's literally a puppet.
Yeah.
So it's it makes you can't hate on him that much, but I feel like you can't love him that much, obviously, because one, we only saw him for a movie. We saw him personally for a movie, and so I don't know. I do feel like Sidious would have sensed the fact that there was a lightsaber turning right beside him.
I mean, he was sensing it. He was reading the guy's mind to sense it instead of being aware of his surroundings. That was his own mistake.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
So
Sidious would have been he turns his lightsaber to his troop.
Dang it!
Enemy. He just turns the lightsaber back,
Get him!
But I mean, I don't know.
It was a cool moment.
Yeah,
it was a cool moment.
I mean, that whole scene was cool. When as soon as Rey and Kylo got into the throne room, everything was cool. You saw Snoke being, like you said, stupid powerful, finger flicking.
The lightning, when he uses lightning,
he bounced it off the floor.
Yeah, bounces it off the floor. That's such a cool move.
His lightning was different too.
He did it twice that way, and it just was like a
ricochet.
It's very cool to me.
Maybe it tones it down just a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I thought that was cool. I do like his throne room. The entire the curtain around it is all red.
Yeah.
So it's the floor is black, his throne is black, but then the entire surrounding is just solid red. I think that's super cool.
Yeah,
I don't know why. His guards,
aesthetic. Praetorian guards. I'm pretty sure they're
guards
called.
Or Emperor guards is what they've technically advanced from.
Yeah.
But those guys are cool. I like their armor.
Yeah,
I like their weapons. They're super cool.
Yeah.
I did like how jumpy to the gun they are. When Rey first pulled her lightsaber or whatever, and they all immediately got into stance and ignited all their weapons.
Yep.
And Snoke would just laughed. And they were like, "Oh, my bad." They come back up to upright. I thought that was cool, but I do like them. I think they're cool.
Yeah, they were.
And I don't know, obviously, I don't know if they're just militant or what.
Oh.
Like, to fight Jedi is pretty...
To be not Force sensitive in that moment.
And still be able to read where the lightsaber is going to land.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're not. I had some small amount of information I read about them a long time ago when the movie came out. And I remember it naming some of them. But it doesn't give you like much of a backstory or anything of that sort. And by naming them, I think it just names them like via their weapon that they have, because they're just called Praetorian Guards.
Right.
I'm like 99% sure.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they have that special, like their armor is meant to be, you know, just like the other ones or whatever. Like they're for fighting.
The one that had like the sword
that broke into two.
No, the solid sword. It was like literally just a sword.
Oh, okay.
Whenever he was like circling behind Kylo, he had it rested on his gauntlet.
Yeah, that's
so he was like, it was like sparking off of his armor, but he was like moving around with it. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. They're just cool to me. I like them a lot.
I think they're cool too. Yeah.
It's definitely like the style you'd want to protect you. You know what I mean?
It's cool that they all had different like purposes too. Like they all had different weapons. It wasn't just a guard that you hired to fill a role. Right. It was that guy was really skilled at that thing, so that's what he's using.
The whip dude was cool.
I like that.
I like the whip.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Got the saber like stuck in between the little energy joints. Yeah. Like, oh, that was neat.
And like at the end was just a spike.
Yeah,
like a sharp spike. So it's like that's cool. Like you can either hit him with that, or you can just electrocute the crap out of him. One of the two.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Those guys are cool.
Not too bad.
I like that I hate that we bagged so hard at first. Because I mean, like I said, there are some pretty like decent things in the movie.
There are.
But unfortunately, like we said, you know, there's a lot of negative to once you start getting up. You know, like 9, I like 9 more than 8.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, that was off my first impression. So I'm curious to see, because I haven't rewatched it. We talked about this the last time I watched it. I watched it once.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind it that bad. It's not my favorite, but I didn't mind it. So I'm curious to see how it's going to be when we
especially since they've invested so much in making the stuff with the Emperor make more sense. Yeah. Like maybe it won't seem as terrible. I don't know.
It shouldn't. Yeah. I'm excited to see Palpatine's skeleton finger. It's so creepy, dude. It's gross.
It is pretty gross.
He points at Kylo like 3 inches from his face, and it's nothing but bone. It's like, you know, that thing stinks.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's rough. I liked the new AT. I forgot. I don't know what the class classification is. But the AT-ATs. I think they're like AT-MTs or something like that. They didn't change them much, I don't think.
Right. They just look like more heavily armored.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like their feet. They're like bent back. It's kind of like a gorilla.
Yeah.
Is what they remind me of. The way that
it's a good point. Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I like how they like their cannons that are on it. They have like that big turbo laser cannon that's like on the top.
Yeah.
The single cannon plus the 2 normal AT-AT cannons.
Those things gotta be.
They're heavily armored. Man. You know what I mean? I mean they're crazy. I like those. I think those are pretty cool. Even the AT-STs, whatever.
They look a lot cooler. They look way cooler.
They look a lot more tough.
I think so. Yeah.
Except for.
I mean, the one in the hangar bay wasn't tough at all.
Just ripped the head right off that bad boy. That was weird. Maybe they just didn't bolt it up.
Yeah.
They were building it at the time. They were like, okay, so we put this bolt in this. Oh, we got to go.
Boeing is the manufacturer.
Yeah, right. It's IKEA. No, but I do like the way that those look. The First Order, like a lot of the things are cool. I mean, like the TIE fighter, like the Special Forces TIE fighter, we see those.
Yeah, they've got a really good look to most of their stuff. The new Star Destroyers,
I know we talked about last time. You were talking about the blasters. You don't like the blasters they run because they look cheap. They look plasticky.
I don't like that they're white. If they weren't white, I probably wouldn't hate them so much. But they look very apparent to me that I'm looking at a kid holding a toy.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't get that feeling from the original ones.
Well, the original ones we talked about, you know, they used like blanks, stuff like that in them, so it's like they had to be pretty heavy duty. Mm-hmm. Whereas this one, they have so much special effects.
It's just CG,
yeah. I mean, even like the like the heavy blasters, the ones that you can put on like a mount.
Yeah.
Even those look cheap. They're white.
I
all that
agree.
Stuff, whatever.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like that even in like when it carries over to video games. You know, we play Battlefront 2 and stuff like that. And in the game, when you play as the First Order, their weapons in that game, they look cheesy.
Yeah.
They just look cheesy to me.
I agree.
And I like their new aesthetic for the armor. I think the Stormtroopers look cool. I like the.
You're talking about the First Order troopers, like their new style.
Yeah.
I like their helmets and stuff.
I like
that they didn't stray far. They just did like a Phase 4
right,
armor.
right.
You had Phase 1 clone, Phase 2 clone. Then you had the Imperial armor, Phase 3. Then you had, you know what I mean? Like,
Basically
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I do like that they kept the same aesthetic, which of course they are. And you know who the good guys are. You know who the bad guys are.
Right.
I did like the trench warfare again.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I like trench warfare. I think that stuff's cool. I mean, carbon copy. No, I like trench warfare. I thought that was cool. Seeing the last 100 rebels that are left,
getting whittled down more and more in every scene.
Right. Yeah. They just all of them just man that front line. They used the turrets that were up there, the turret pods.
Right.
The skiff, the
little
salt
speeder
skiffs
things,
or whatever.
Yeah,
those things were cool. I mean, I say they were cool. They're different, but I like how like that shows which rebels like in the original the rebellion and then now the resistance.
They didn't have money.
They will use
scrappy.
everything they can.
Yeah.
To do what they have to do.
Yeah.
I liked Poe when he's flying this thing. He's like this, this rust bucket or whatever, and he like pushes his foot out of the panel and it's just hanging. He's like, "What the hell?" I can't tell you like the amount of trucks that I rode in, back home and stuff that you would literally there's that thing right there. There's a hole of rust right there.
It just goes straight through.
So it's kind of funny to watch that.
Yeah, true.
I hated that. Pretty sure that the actor who played Finn, I don't know if anything's going to be said when the new movies come out or not. If he's like, I'll do it again, but
right.
As for now, he's not going to come back to play
Finn.
He
said vocally that he's done.
Right, and so what a good way for Finn to go out. Like if he would have, like obviously he didn't know that he was going to not play again until after the next movie, so it's fine. But like when he was going up to the ram cannon, to sacrifice himself to destroy the ram cannon before it shoots, and then lovely Rose comes out of nowhere, and crashes into him, and
she's
like,
gotta save him, dummy.
Gotta save the ones you dummy. Love, silly dude. When you said that Bobby Lee should have played Rose, I freaking lost it.
I could just see him in that moment.
Yeah, then like you said, Andrew Santino playing Finn. That would have been sweet. That would have been so beautiful.
Just bad friends. Santino would have let him. Santino would have let him sacrifice.
He would have.
What are you doing?
He would have crashed his ship into the ground to make sure he misses. No. I don't know.
That's funny. Yeah, I do think for whatever reason when this movie first came out, when The Last Jedi first came out, there was so much hate, a lot of hate on Rose, on the character of Rose, and unfortunately the actress, because humans are stupid and we portray that stuff dumbly. Like a lot of
actress
idiots.
Did a really good job. She played the character of
exactly
how they
what
wanted her to be played. Yeah. I think she did great as an actor or actress.
And you know what? Is this time watching it again, I still think Rose is one of my least favorite characters, but she's way less annoying than I remember. Yeah, I thought she was like, in my memory, she was just the worst character in Star Wars. I hated everything. And now I'm like, she's a little annoying in the beginning and not that bad later.
No,
like
she doesn't get bad.
She's not even in it much. I'm like, she's totally fine. It's not that bad.
I didn't mind her as much either this time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still not my favorite character.
No, she's definitely on the low list.
You're gonna have those though.
I know, that's fine. That's totally fine.
But no, with the actress when she got a lot of hate.
I know.
It was just like Ahmed Best.
I know.
He got a lot of hate. Like himself got a lot of hate for playing Jar Jar.
I know.
Because that's who they wanted him to play.
That's so messed up.
And it's like that sucks. And now Ahmed Best is getting all this praise because he came back in Mandalorian and all this stuff, blah blah blah. It shouldn't take that.
No.
You know what I mean? Don't hate the actress or actor who plays a character just because you don't like that character. It's not the actor or actress's fault. They were hired to play that role because they did it to how the director wanted it to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like you don't hate on somebody personally because you don't like what they do on screen.
I know it, and not every element of that has to be made and tailor-made just for you.
Agreed.
You can not like that character.
Agreed.
And just move on. There's no reason to hound the actress or the actor. That's
Hayden
ridiculous.
Christensen got the same thing.
I know.
And now, which it's kind of funny to look at. It's like our generation, the younger generation, when we were kids and that or younger, and that movie. Yeah, we were kids. Because it was 2000, early 2000s. So like when we were kids, the people hated Hayden Christensen for portraying Anakin, saying he was whiny and stuff.
I know.
And now with Star Wars Celebration 22, he had so much love from people who are our age.
Yeah, he like broke down on stage.
Right.
Like he was crying.
But it's just amazing to see that it was a generational thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure.
Gave hate, and it's like, holy crap! Me and my dad talked about this a couple weeks ago. I don't remember why. Because Ewan McGregor got his star on the Hollywood Walk.
Yeah.
So good for him too, dude. That made me happy.
That's cool.
That made me, like, genuinely, I read it and I was like, oh, yes, he deserves it. He did such a good job, dude.
Yeah.
Good for him.
That is cool.
Hayden was there, gave his speech. That's why we got on that thing.
Okay.
Because of that. But it was just, it's so weird that it's like the generation, it's depending on what your generation is that's the character you're going to hate.
I agree. It's so dumb because like people will, the things that they complained about him was like, if you actually watched, A New Hope for the first time, that's what Hayden Christensen was basing his character off of. Luke is super whiny in the beginning. He's a teenager who's talking back to his uncle who doesn't want to go to here. I'm like, that's so funny. He's actually a little less whiny than Luke was.
The next biggest thing you look at is he was supposed to turn evil because he could not keep control of his emotions.
Yeah.
And so he's going to be an emotional brat. He's going to get mad. He's going to get angry. He's going to get upset. So Hayden literally played Anakin very well. Like, stupid well.
If anything, the worst part about all of it was writing. Like, there was some really awkward, dry dialogue between him and her, especially, that you're like, this is hard to be like, you guys fell in love on this awkward dialogue, but
there was a blooper.
You can't blame him for that at all.
A blooper when they were in the Padme's ship, the senator ship or whatever.
Right.
And he like had held on to her for a second and let go, and then Natalie Portman was like, "Get off me!" Like that was the line.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
Like he had like touched her and then stopped, and then she says it, and then they were both like, "Wait a minute," It's like, what the heck does that mean? So I mean, it is a writing thing. Yeah. But like we always talk about, Star Wars. That's what Star Wars is known for. Is like their cheesy writing in certain areas.
That's fine.
I like it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Until you get into like Disney, when they have writing that truly does not make sense, that doesn't tie into nothing.
Yeah, but that's story writing. That's different. That's different than the exposition. Like the dialogue, I'm fine with that. Because
that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm getting at. Is it's fine to have cheesy lines and cheesy dialogue.
Yeah.
But like now you have cheesy and
if your own story contradicts itself in what it's trying to do, it's a bad story. It's not good. That's a scary piece. Mm-hmm. I do want to, before we close out, to talk about the best character of all time that we barely talk.
Porgs 2025, baby.
Porkins?
Orkin.
Oh. I wasn't talking about any of them. I'm talking about...
I got it.
Broom Kid. Broom Kid,
dude. We talked so much about him.
He's the best.
He is.
I was talking about Broom Kid when we first watched this movie on our way home from the theater. I was like, Broom Kid's the next guy. He's gonna be.
If he's not in the next 3 Star Wars movies, I'm gonna be so upset. I want him to be Rey's first student.
He's gotta be.
Gotta be.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Yoda making an appearance in this movie.
I loved Yoda.
So there's some crazy stuff that's there, right?
They used puppet face too, which I really
that's true.
I really love that.
I like that a lot too.
I didn't mind like the CGI, the old CGI, stuff like that in 3 and whatever, and then the rendition of 2. It was weird seeing him in the rendition of episode 1. I'm sorry.
Right.
In
like 1,
in 1 the first time he was a puppet, and then they re-upped it, and then he was CGI. So like when that happened, I was like. That's not Yoda. Now I don't care. Like it's fine. I like it. It's cool.
Right.
But like seeing Yoda again, but seeing that it is his puppet.
Yeah.
I was like, that's freaking awesome.
It is cool.
Dude.
It is cool.
I liked.
It felt like the old version of him too. Like the old version of him from the original trilogies was really funny to me. Mm-hmm. He's always like poking at people and stuff like that.
And he was doing it this time.
And I like that he's doing that now.
I liked when he used the Force, which I like that being a Force ghost. He could still use the Force to manipulate the weather at that point, strike the lightning down because Luke wasn't going to burn the tree.
That's incredible.
It's freaking insane.
It's amazing. But it also asks so many questions about the future that they just opened up.
He is the Force, though. Like, I mean, you're a Force ghost. You're one with the Force. You are the Force.
Well, I understand.
So, like, all right. So, like, I guess that kind of makes sense. But
now... Why can't he go to Exegol, then?
Who?
Force Ghost Yoda, where he can't be hurt because he's a ghost.
Maybe you can't
and he can electrocute somebody with a bolt of lightning.
How are you going to get a bolt of lightning through a freaking closed area, buddy? This was outside. At least it makes sense.
Okay, well, wait till he walks outside and he's going into one of his spaceships.
Doesn't walk outside. He can't
walk. Get into his spaceship somehow,
buddy. You silly boy.
You get my point.
No,
he could have easily fought anybody as a ghost, where you can't be affected.
Maybe.
It's really weird to bring that into this universe now.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
we don't know how the Force works. They've changed the Force 3 times.
More than that, it seems.
I know.
But now he can affect external things. He caught a tree on fire, and he called lightning down from the sky.
It was just cool,
I mean,
bro.
It was a great scene. It was cool.
We're not going to talk bad about it. Okay? This is what...
Whoa.
Hello?
Oh.
This is what I love. Just kidding.
We all do.
You're good.
It's okay to still love it.
I don't know how it works. I don't know. Like because he's one with the Force, he can do certain things like weather. Maybe you want it sunny, you can make it sunny. I don't know. Maybe that's like you're on a holiday. I don't know how that works. I mean, but what you're saying does make sense. Like,
I wish it wasn't raining on my wedding day. You're just like.
No, I mean it makes sense. Like if he can do that, like what else can he do?
Right.
But then again, you also had all the Force ghosts behind Rey who fed her power, basically. So it's like maybe they can only do certain things that they can't do. Like they can't fight, they can't do attack, they can't do all this other stuff. But maybe they can somehow influence the Force around it to create something natural to happen.
Right.
That's what would make sense to me.
And that's very likely the limit of its power. But I mean, even in that case, you calling down lightning to strike something or someone is pretty powerful.
That's crazy.
So
I did like
it is weird. He may also be the only one at this point who could do that. We don't know.
Maybe he's a grandmaster.
It's potential that others could learn this now and other stuff like that. I don't know. It's strange.
Maybe.
What about like the idea of dark side Force ghosts? Like.
Well, in the Clone Wars, when Yoda was going on his travels to learn how to go beyond,
he meets Darth Bane. The spirit of Bane is like makes a physical operate. Like we've seen in a lot of EU stuff, dark side, spirits that usually seem like they're locked to like the tomb that they're in, or something along those lines. They don't seem to be as free roaming as these light side spirits. That's probably exactly what it is. But it does seem like they sort of have their own version of Force ghosts, but they're not.
I think they have it, but I think it's more of like that, like how they had Bane in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
He's stuck to his tomb because that's where his body is.
But at least in the EU, though, they also had the ability to affect things externally. Yeah. But that was the caveat, was that they were like locked to their little tomb they were in. But they could mess with people's minds that would go in there, and they could do things physically to them and like electrocute them and stuff like that. So it's interesting because they did just show it for the first time in canon now with Yoda calling down lightning. That's crazy. It's wild.
I did like before we go when he did that, and Luke was like, "What the heck?" or whatever, and Yoda's laughing, but he's like tapping his feet on the rock because he's so excited. Yeah, I don't know. It was just cool.
Some of my favorite Yoda quotes. There's a lot of good Yoda quotes, but in this movie he says. That the students, like talking about them, he says they are what does he say?
I don't know. This is your story.
It's my favorite quote, and I don't remember. It's one of my favorite quotes.
Definitely your favorite.
He says they are what we grow beyond. They are what they grow beyond us. We are what they grow beyond us. I don't know what he says think that's it, to be honest, all. Buddy. It's not that.
I did like that he was talking about the failure, like that failure is to come. That's how we learn, is by failure. I did like that whole little thing,
right?
Which I'm assuming is tied into what you were gonna say.
Yeah,
I thought that was I did like that, but
yeah, pretty good. He also sneakily, like, I think he knew that Rey had the books when he caught the tree on fire.
Well, he's been there. He's probably watching.
I know. He probably told her to take him. We don't know.
Well,
but,
I don't know if she can speak to him.
That's true. That's true. She theoretically shouldn't, but she's also all powerful.
But then again, Yoda's probably. I mean, I'm assuming being a Force ghost, you can see literally anything that's going on. You choose your time. I mean, if they learn how to talk to you through the Force, that's fine. If not, you're just there creeping. Which is, now that I say that, a little
There's
strange.
Probably a lot of them doing it now.
Creeping?
Yeah.
On Rey?
Wow. Not specifically, but maybe.
And that's where, like, as soon as I said Yoda's just creeping, I was like...
Who's he creeping on?
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
thanks for joining in.
Thank you guys for stopping in today. Make sure you hit that like and follow button. Until next time.
We'll creep on Ray a little later. I mean,
wait a minute.
Wait a
gotta
minute.
go. I gotta get out of here. What time is it? It's time to go. Oh, I'm in my house.
You think when Luke cut himself off from the Force, he's just drinking milk from that sea cow? Yoda was there the whole time watching.
What are you doing? Don't do that.
Oh, he's doing it again.
He's trying to swat his hand, but nothing's happening. Luke has no idea.
He's been waiting to catch that sea cow on lightning fire forever.
He's been trying, but he can't hit it. Keeps hitting the water.
That's why it hit the tree on the first try.
Right.
All right. Let's take a break and play a game, and we'll be done.
Okay.
Welcome back in. After our little break there, we are now going to be playing a little game here, bud.
Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
That's a good game too.
How about that?
I call this light versus dark, but it's not really a game. It's basically just kind of like Would You Rather in a way, but they're Star Wars themed. So I just basically grabbed a whole bunch of interesting kind of Would You Rather type things.
Wookiee matter.
That's a better name. We should go with that. Although it just sounds like Chewbacca pooing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that.
Yeah, now that I think
going
about
back
it.
to his dingleberries.
So I'm gonna hit you with a couple of these, and then we'll just give our thoughts
Please
on
don't
them.
hit me.
And we'll see how it goes. So the first one basically says, you've just discovered that you're force sensitive. Would you rather be trained by Yoda on Dagobah, old Yoda, or old Luke on Ahch-To? So we're getting...
Dude, Yoda.
We're getting the Luke that we just got.
Yeah, Yoda.
Because you want him to ride you like a backpack, or what?
Yeah, of course. But joke's on him. I'm gonna ride him like a backpack.
You'd crush him.
The same size I am today. There's no like you're skinny and you're gonna be a Jedi. No, it's me.
And you can't like if he can't tell you not to, because then you could tell him size matters not.
Judge me by my size, do you? He's gonna be like, yeah, huh? Yoda,
big boy you are. Squish me, do not.
You'd be running away from me the whole time.
Would you go in that dark side cave?
Oh yeah, you have to.
What'd you see in there? You without a hat?
Me without a hat, my shaved head. That's exactly what it was.
Shaved, perfectly
There's no
shaved.
beard. I'm just like,
clean shave. The worst me.
Oh, those chins.
I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, that's the right answer. Mine's that one too.
Yeah.
How do you not go Yoda? I mean,
That's
he's
what
so
I'm saying.
stinking funny.
Like, Ahch-To is cool. The planet, like the
Yeah, the
island's cool
planet
and
was
stuff.
alright.
But like Luke being his like little crybaby butt, I don't know. No, I'm good. I'd rather have like crazy old man Yoda teaching me.
Absolutely. I agree. The next one says you have the ability to use the Force, but only to either use mind tricks or for telekinesis.
Telekinesis, like push pull. Telekinesis.
Moving objects.
Yeah.
Master Obi-Wan would be real grumpy if he saw me taking this pear over here and...
Obi-Wan does that, dude. Like, what do you think him and Satine did? He was
Oh,
all sweet
man.
on her.
He was showing off all the
Yeah,
magic
he
tricks.
was. That piece of crap. Good for him, though.
All right. Would you rather be a pilot in the Rebel Alliance or a commander in the Galactic Empire?
Pilot for the Rebel Alliance.
Just so you don't get choked?
I didn't even think about that. No, so I don't die. Well,
I mean, you probably would have a higher chance of dying as a pilot, I think.
What ship would I fly? Give me an option of a ship.
So let's say you're a general on a Star Destroyer, or you are Red 4 in an X-Wing.
That wasn't Porkins, right?
It probably was. You
Yeah.
replaced Porkins.
Honestly, still, yeah, I'd probably just be a robot.
They don't even need to change the call sign. I meant Red 4. What? Oh, jeez.
Red Fox. Big Red standing by.
I love it so much. All right. Oh, this one's... Okay, so you're building a team on this, basically. So you find yourself exploring the galaxy as a smuggler. Who do you pick as your droid companion?
I'd probably pick like R2. I would pick an astromech.
Yeah, I think so.
Because like they're so handy. It would probably be between Chopper and R2, to be honest.
It'd be really hard not to choose one of those two. I do like the idea of something like K2, like K2SO.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be cool, or a loader droid, like what's his name from Kenobi, like because they're muscle.
Yeah.
But then again, K2 is also muscular. Like
yeah, K2 would be like
bad,
a bodyguard / co-pilot is what he functioned as.
That's a pretty good idea, and K2 can do a lot of things too. Like he has the same like the reader that comes out of his gauntlet or whatever. You know what I mean?
Stuff.
So it's like all right.
I think he just doesn't have the navigational type stuff you'd get from an astromech.
That would be kind of a hard. I'll just say astromech because they can do a lot, but K2 is pretty.
I'm gonna pick K2 then, so we'll build our little. So then, what ship are you guys in?
Millennium Falcon. It's designed. That's what it's designed for. You know what I mean? Come on, buddy.
I think I gotta go Slave One just to be different. Millennium Falcon's right there for me. So then
you're smuggling bodies. What the heck?
Whoa!
Calm down, that Slave One. Buddy.
Who is your co-pilot / partner?
Chewie.
Yeah, Chewie's like the perfect co-pilot.
Or Hondo.
I get Hondo.
You take Hondo.
I mean, the problem with Hondo is he's just as likely to
not know
betray me and take my ship and all the goodies.
True. We'll say at this point he won't.
Maybe I'll pick 9.
The good thing about having oh yes,
just to hear him laughing all the time in the copa.
Yeah, it'd be good. Chewie knows how to fly the Falcon, so I'm good.
Yeah, he's already perfect for that. Yeah.
I don't even have to really learn. Just watch him for a couple days.
It's not bad. I don't know if maybe I could. I'd like to pick Boba, but then it'd be cheating because he knows how to fly the Slave One.
No, not really. I just picked Chewie.
He's already a co-pilot though. He makes sense. Yeah. So I like 9. I'm gonna take 9.
You're gonna take 9.
Yeah,
okay.
And then the last thing to round out your team is you're bringing a pet with you. What pet do you have? It doesn't have to be named, but
Rathtar. I'd probably take a Lothcat.
I think that was going to be my choice too. Yeah. I think I like that.
Either a Lothcat or the Crystal Fox, whatever they're called.
Maybe I'll take one of those owl bird things that follows Ahsoka around, and then it could like perch on me like a pirate.
Arg. No, I'd probably do Lothcat.
Cool.
So.
All right. Well, if you are stuck as a native living on Tatooine or Hoth, you're stuck living there. Which one would you pick?
Hoth. I hate heat. I hate the hot.
Really?
Yeah. You know that.
I know, and I do too. But I don't think you can live on Hoth.
I mean, you won't make it past the. Was the 3rd mile marker.
Yeah, you won't make it past the 3rd barrier.
I'll see you in hell. Yeah.
That's a good line. That's a really good line.
That's a really good line.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any inhabitants on Hoth.
No, I don't think so.
The Wampas and
the
Tauntauns.
creatures, yeah.
I would take my chances on Hoth.
You'd still do it, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think I gotta go Tatooine
like
just because there's... Why?
It's rough. It's coarse.
Oh.
And it gets everywhere. It's irritating.
Is it irritating?
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Maybe is it rough and irritating?
Or you said it right, but then
rough,
you said...
coarse, irritating, and
it gets everywhere.
Right.
Not like here. Not like you.
You don't get everywhere.
That was him caressing her arm. This is interesting. Would you rather be a Padawan, a Jedi Padawan, in the middle of Order 66, or a Gungan soldier serving under Bombad General Jar Jar during the invasion of Naboo?
Please put me in a Padawan.
Are you gonna survive either one?
No.
You're dead no matter what.
No. Well, maybe some Padawans did survive, so it's like I think I have better chances surviving as a Padawan in Order 66 in the Jedi Temple with Anakin coming at me
than being one of the poor Gungans that had to serve under Jar Jar. We're gonna make you a Bombad General.
General passes out. It's like, oh God.
The other general's trying to save him the whole time.
I give up. I give up.
I didn't see one troop under his command in the movie. What kind of general was he?
Yeah, he was. Steady.
He was just next to another general. The other guy was the real general. They all lied to Jar Jar.
I know.
They were like, yeah.
You gotta make him feel good, dude. Otherwise, he's just sad all the time. It's so crazy.
That's a tough one to think about. That guy actually commanded armies. So.
Army.
Yeah. Commanded a division in an army.
But if it wasn't for his ridiculousness,
his kill count was pretty high in that fight.
He got a battle droid stuck to his foot and blasted. He destroyed a droideka.
I know. He killed a couple things. He killed the tanks when he
dropped the
big Boombas.
Yeah,
or whatever they're called.
Yeah. Makes you know have a Boomba. Here, take out this one. And he's like bobbling it.
It's the pilot or the turret droid.
Yeah. So I don't know. No, definitely a Padawan because
jump, Jar Jar, jump.
Right.
We still got to think of something. We shall never give up. Oh, okay. Just give up.
He didn't even hesitate.
I give up. Would you rather have a pod racer, one of the ones present at the Boonta Eve, or a speeder bike, like what's on Endor?
Probably a speeder bike.
Ooh. So that you could use it like outside of races, you just use it anywhere as transport?
Yeah. I think it'd be cool. But I think it'd be cool.
I think pod racing's amazing, but I think that the thing that, like, it's tough to,
like, if you're gonna use it like for just travel and transport, I mean, there's so much maintenance that has to go into a pod.
Well, and the thing with pod racing was like supposedly you have to be force sensitive to be a human and do it. Like your reflexes have to be stupid fast.
Yeah.
And there are humans that are riding speeder bikes, so they must not be as fast and as dangerous as pod racing.
Yeah, or they're easier to control too.
Yeah, I guess in some way humans do that all the time.
Yeah.
Or at least the ones in the military.
Yeah.
So, with some sort of help, I know scout troopers have like things in their goggles.
Well, they have oh crap, the ones that rode the BARC speeders. I mean, there's a lot
the
of
clones.
BARC speeders. Yeah, was it Nova Corps? I keep wanting to say it's Nova Corps.
That sounds familiar.
Their helmets, they had like the super like tight slit around it for like zero vision, like to where like you didn't have like your peripherals weren't there, like you just had tunnel vision the whole time.
Right.
So it's like they had specialized helmets for riding BARC speeders all the time. So it's like that's pretty cool.
True. How about this one? Would you rather be able to speak Wookiee or be able to understand droids?
Well, I have a.
If you lived in the Star Wars universe,
I have an astromech
and a Wookiee companion.
Ooh. Well, okay, I would rather be able to talk to Wookiees because you can plug him up to a little thingy,
and if you're at a computer, you'll be able to understand R2.
Yeah.
But if you guys are traveling out and about, you don't know what he's saying to you.
No idea.
But at least you know what Chewbacca's saying, which is probably.
We could probably talk to R2.
I'm pretty sure most of what he says all the time is meat.
That's true.
Meat. I like that one. I think with as many droids as there are in Star Wars, I think you normally would choose droids, but you picked Chewbacca as your companion.
Yeah. So, you tell me to push a button, and I'm like, I don't know what you want from me.
Why do you keep yelling?
I'm just getting arguments every day.
This is funny because what we were just talking about. Would you rather have Force visions of the future, or be able to communicate with Force ghosts?
I'd be able to communicate with Force ghosts.
That'd be pretty wild.
I would be afraid that I would be like Anakin, and you would see something that you don't want to see, and that you would want to change, and you can't. Or the only way to do it is to
slaughter a bunch of younglings and
right.
oops.
Nope, different one, and choke your wife.
Some wives like the next question coming from a certain wife that got choked. Would you rather have a romantic relationship like Han and Leia, or like Anakin and Padme? Interesting.
Well, Anakin and Padme, like,
very different from each other, I would say.
Yeah, they had to hide from everything. They
right.
can only be romantic in
private
alleys and rooms. Which
right.
I say alleys because we saw them in the...
But it just means, would you like to have a relationship? Like, which one?
Well, I mean, they both of them got along well. Both had children. I would rather not get force choked. So let's go with Han and Leia. Wait, I'm not the woman, but like...
Nope, it's in there now.
All right.
That's amazing.
I'm snuggling up with
I think, like, weirdly, I think that the relationship with Padme and Anakin might have been the more healthy relationship. She loved him like truly unconditionally.
She didn't kiss her brother.
So
it's like, yeah,
that's a good point.
I think I'm gonna backtrack. I'm gonna go with you on that one.
But like, yeah, she knows his flaws fully before getting fully involved. Still gets fully involved and dies just from a broken heart. Like, it was him or nothing. Her whole life surrounded on him. That was true unconditional love.
Yeah. From
both of them, obviously. Whereas like Han and Leia, they end up drifting apart with everything that happens with their kid and everything. He goes away and all that. Like, they definitely loved each other. They had a family. They had all this, but like, I definitely felt different to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think
weirdly,
realistically, Anakin and Padme would probably be
the perfect or
the type of relationship you'd rather go with. Yeah.
What about strategic minds? Would you rather have a strategic mind like Grand Admiral Thrawn? You're that smart, that strategic.
Or who?
Or the piloting skills of Poe Dameron. You can guess which one I'm going to pick, probably.
Piloting skills of Poe Dameron.
I love Poe, man.
I think I'd rather the strategic mindset of being able to just study art and be like, yeah, this is how these guys are going to act.
That's probably like a blessing and a curse. Like, that dude's the genius of the Star Wars universe. But also, like, the real geniuses you know in real life are, like, cursed. There's just nobody like them around.
Thrawn's still alive. He got sucked out of a window through a purgle.
Through a purgle?
With a purgle.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Those tentacles dragged him away. Wait. They did.
They did.
Well, he just stayed on the bridge, I think, when it happened.
Oh, yeah. They just wrapped him up, though.
Yeah. They were holding on
he
to
still
him.
lived, so it's like, yeah. No, I think the strategic might be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good one.
I think we'll do one more.
Let's say you get to have either a lightsaber duel with Kylo Ren or a blaster fight duel against Boba Fett.
Blaster fight duel against Boba Fett.
Because you are not a Jedi?
Because I'm not a Jedi.
What if you're Finn and he's in a bad spot?
Yeah, but then he got mad enough and it was like, I'm done messing with you, kid, and then sliced him.
What if it's Rey and what if you're Rey and it's your first day using the Force?
Yeah, I'll do that. No. I like Boba Fett. If I go out, I want to die by Boba Fett.
It's going to kill you so fast.
I don't care.
It's going to kill you so fast.
I want to die by Boba.
I choose that too. That's
Death
the right
by
answer.
Boba. And not the Boba tea. Boba Fett. And not my cat, neither.
I love it. That's perfect. That's a great spot.
All right, that's cool. Well, good episode all around. I did like that little bit there. That was fun. Good choices all around. But cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, whether it's listening at work, at home, or on the way to work. If you're watching us on the big screen, make sure you hit that like and subscribe for us. And until next time, may the laughs be with you.
Thanks. Goodbye.